I don't think people understand just how pivotal Hungary's position is right now. Welcome back to Universal Insight. Please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more updates to you. Subtitle: Picture Hungary at a crossroads. Its leaders shaking hands with Beijing while Brussels looks on, uneasy. This isn't fiction, it's Hungary's reality, caught between East and West. Is this a rebellion against the EU or something more nuanced? Today we'll cut through the noise and examine Hungary's eastern opening, its ties with China, and what this means for Europe's future. We'll look at the deals, the investments, and the strategic implications. Let's dive in and see what's really happening. Since joining the EU in 2004, Hungary has benefited from substantial economic aid and market access. The country's GDP grew by over 4% annually in the early 2000s, but recent years have seen a shift. Prime Minister Viktor Orban has increasingly turned to the east, citing the need for diversified economic partnerships. Hungary's involvement in China's Belt and Road Initiative is a key example, aiming to boost infrastructure and trade. Cultural and educational exchanges have also flourished, with more Hungarian students studying in China than ever before. However, this pivot has not been without controversy. EU sanctions and political tensions have escalated. Public opinion in Hungary is divided, with some seeing this as a betrayal of European values, while others view it as pragmatic. As we explore Hungary's strategic dance between the EU and BRICS, we'll uncover the complexities and future implications of this geopolitical balancing act. In May 2024, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited Budapest, and Hungary's relationship with China was upgraded to an all-weather comprehensive strategic partnership. This isn't just diplomatic jargon. It's a status China reserves for its closest allies. Hungary is the first EU country to receive this designation, signaling a deep, enduring bond. The partnership means more than trade, it's about infrastructure, like the Chinese-financed Budapest-Belgrade Railway and technology, with Huawei expanding its presence. Hungary is opening its doors to Chinese investment and tech, even as the EU and US raise security concerns. This move positions Hungary as China's key foothold in the EU. It's the result of a decade-long strategy, not a sudden shift. Hungary is aligning its future with China, reshaping its role in Europe. This partnership has real consequences for the EU and the global balance of power. The world is watching. Hungary's pivot to China didn't happen overnight. It's the product of the Eastern Opening policy launched in 2010. After the 2008 financial crisis, Hungary sought to diversify away from Western dependence, looking east for growth. China became the centerpiece, with Hungary offering incentives to attract Chinese companies. The results? Hungary is now the top destination for Chinese investment in Central and Eastern Europe. Billions have flowed into sectors like electric vehicles, batteries, chemicals, logistics, and telecoms. Chinese giants like CATL and BYD are building massive battery plants, integrating Hungary into China's supply chains. The government's gamble become China's most reliable EU partner and a gateway between East and West. But this deep integration brings risks, economic dependence, and political friction with the EU. Hungary is betting big on the East, but the stakes are high. Hungary's eastern pivot has fueled tensions with the EU. Disputes over rule of law, media freedom, and minority rights have led Brussels to freeze billions in funds. The Hungarian government frames this as political blackmail, using it to rally domestic support. In response, Hungary seeks alternative partners. China's investments become even more attractive. Hungary has used its EU veto power to block or soften criticism of China and Russia, frustrating its partners. This makes Hungary a strategic asset for Beijing inside the EU. The more pressure from Brussels, the more Hungary leans east. It's a cycle of confrontation and realignment. Hungary is now the EU's internal dissenter, reshaping the bloc's foreign policy from within. Hungary's partnership with China now extends into security, a move that alarms many in Europe and the US. In 2024, Hungary agreed to joint police patrols with Chinese officers, officially to help Chinese tourists and business people. Critics warn this sets a precedent Chinese law enforcement on EU and NATO soil. There are concerns about surveillance, intimidation of dissidents, and the reach of Chinese security services. As a NATO member, Hungary's deepening ties with China raise questions about trust and intelligence sharing. This isn't just about economics anymore, it's about strategic alignment. Hungary is tying its security interests in part to China's. The implications for European unity and NATO are profound. With Hungary's eastern shift, many wonder will it join BRICS. So far, Hungary hasn't formally applied, but it's sending signals, attending BRICS forums and praising the bloc's rise. This engagement is strategic, not a full break from the EU. By flirting with BRICS, Hungary gains leverage in negotiations with Brussels. The threat of a pivot east keeps the EU on edge, but leaving the EU would be economically disastrous. Most of Hungary's trade is with EU countries. For now, Hungary is hedging staying in the EU for economic benefits while building ties with BRICS powers for political leverage. It's a balancing act, not a clean break. Hungary wants the best of both worlds. The world is watching to see if it can pull it off. So, is Hungary leaving the EU or joining BRICS? The answer is neither, at least for now. Hungary is hedging, playing both sides to maximize its leverage. It's a risky strategy that could reshape alliances across Europe. Hungary's story is a test case for the new era of global competition. What happens next in Budapest could ripple across the continent. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Hungary now stands at a pivotal crossroads, with its future hanging in the balance. If it continues to hedge between the European Union and emerging alliances like BRICS, Budapest could secure unique advantages: more investment, greater autonomy, and a louder voice on the world stage. But this balancing act is fraught with risk. Should Hungary drift too far from Brussels, it risks losing EU funding and influence, potentially isolating itself from its closest neighbours. On the other hand, leaning heavily into BRICS could deepen economic ties with the East, but may also bring new dependencies and unpredictabilities. The path Hungary chooses will shape not only its own destiny, but could set a precedent for other nations navigating a world of shifting alliances. The next chapter in Hungary's story will be written by its leaders and watched closely by the world.